Hello, and welcome to the Sisters of the Shire podcast. Today, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Ashley, and sometimes you might hear a tiny little person in the background named Lizzie joining us today. And you might hear an Oakley or a Luna, who is also joining me today. But today, we are going to be covering Rings of Power Season 2, Episode 2. We finally got to watch it. Our schedules finally lined up that we could. I blame it on both of us being sick, and we're just like, just get to sit on the couch.
Pretty much.
So, we are going to do a recap and review of the second episode of Rings of Power Season 2. And like we've stated before, we haven't seen any other episode after, we are up to Season 2. So please, no spoilers. We haven't seen any of the other ones. So
we're working on it.
Just give us some time, okay? We're really trying. We are going to go over some of the fun Easter eggs we found in the episode, or our excitement on maybe some character development and things like that we've seen. And we always state that we know that people don't really love this show, but we are enjoying it, and that's okay. If you have that opinion of not really enjoying it, that's fine. We are going to be going through it because we just love the show. I do. I like the show. And we know that sometimes it doesn't stick to the lore or canon or whatever, what have you. But we just are taking it as it is, as a beautiful show in the Tolkien universe, and that these people who wrote the show, worked on the show, and the actors and everything are working really hard to bring a beautiful, beautiful masterpiece to us. Some of you might not share that opinion, but, to each their own.
Yeah, and we're going to be we're not going to praise everything about the show. There are things that we like and don't like, and we're going to be honest about that. But we are coming at it from a place of love, and, maybe I would have done it differently, or maybe I wish they could have told it differently. But, we also understand that they have constraints on them based on their what they are legally allowed to use, based on their rights and things like that with the Tolkien estate. So yeah, we are coming at it from a place of understanding, but we're just didn't love that.
Yes.
So we're going to be frank and honest about it, but from a place of niceness and respect.
So come join us and just enjoy the wonderful world of Middle-earth as we discuss the second season, episode 2 of Rings of Power. Let's go!
Let's go! So yeah, all right. We're both a little sick.
Yes.
Mine is more sniffly, so I'm apologizing now for the sniffs. And my daughter Lizzie gave me this plague, so you'll also hear sniffing probably from her in the background, as well as her loud coloring. I don't know how one can color so loudly. But she manages somehow.
She's going to go to therapy. She's going to go to therapy my mom talked about my loud coloring so much. I'm just really insecure about it now.
So yeah, we were both sick. I've had some stuff going on this week, and I told Abby, I cannot get to the outline as much as I would love to this week. How about we just watch episode 2 and talk about that? And she said, sure, because she's amazing and is my best friend. So that's what we did.
And also I was sick.
Right.
You know what's silly though? I didn't get it from my children. I just got it. And this happened the last 2 times. My children have not been sick, and I've just randomly popped up being sick, and then I give it to my kids, and I feel terrible. I'm the plague giver.
You are the plague. You should know better to douse yourself in hand sanitizer. Do an Oakley and just put it over your head. The bottle of hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer all over.
Yep. If you're a true Sisters of the Shire podcast listener, you'll remember when he did that. That was one of my favorite episodes. I was crying laughing that episode. I re-listened to it recently and I was dying.
So, I try not to give my children my contamination anxiety of like being sick and like germs and stuff. I just don't want them to have that anxiety in their life, but I just want them to be aware of like, hey, we should wash our hands. If lots of people have touched this, it's just a smart thing to do. I try to make it as lighthearted as possible. But yesterday, my daughter, she is in ballet, and she's doing Nutcracker rehearsals right now. So there's a lot of kids, and there's a lot of people in her dance studio because they're doing full dance rehearsals. So there's probably like 50 people on the dance floor at one time doing, they're dancing. And she is one of the I air quote older girls that helps with the littler ones. There's like toddlers. There's like 5-year-olds and 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds, right? They're little. Yeah. And so she's in charge of like wrangling them. And so she is like holding their hands and like doing these things with them. And she comes like after dance, she's like, I gotta go wash my hands. I've been touching too many kids. And I'm like,
welcome to motherhood, right. Luna.
I was like, you're right, Luna. Good job. But I'm glad you thought of that on your own, and I didn't have to pester you about it. But she was like, I've just been touching these kids. I've just been touching their hands. Who knows where these children's hands have been? It just made me laugh. I hope it doesn't ruin your life.
They're always sticky. They've always got jam hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
What movie is that?
It's from
Jam Hand.
It's from Luke from Gilmore Girls says it.
Okay, because there's also a Jurassic Park thing that's like that.
Yeah, they're always sticky. I just watched Jurassic Park. So.
Oh, okay. I feel like Hammond? Alan Grant. Alan Grant and Luke Danes would have been best friends.
They never talk.
And they would be fine with that.
It's like in Parks and Rec. It's like, my barber was my best friend. We never said a word to each other. No, we never spoke. We never said a word to each other. He was my best friend. Okay. Speaking of... Hey,
let's get to it.
Hey, best friend, you want to talk about Lord of the Rings?
I would love to. I would be honored.
All right.
With me and my cough drop. Sorry if you hear the cough drop in my mouth, too.
Okay, so...
It's one of those things.
This episode, personally, season 2, episode 2, is called Meet... I won't even say it. It's a spoiler. I won't even say it. It's a new character. Anyway, I felt like this episode was weirdly short. I don't know why.
Weirdly short.
Like...
all over the place.
It probably wasn't.
Like, so many things all over the place.
It probably wasn't as short as the other episodes, but it just felt short. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I feel also like they cut it off really abruptly, so it felt like there was more.
Yeah, it did. It definitely jumped around a lot. So, yes. So we start off with seeing.
It was called "Where the Stars Are Strange."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, which are talking about, what's it called? What are they calling him now? He's not the stranger. He's.
Oh, I think he's still the stranger.
Okay.
The friend?
Sure. Tall guy. So in the beginning we see, it opens on, Khazad-dûm. And we see,
beautiful.
I know, and we see the cool way that they let light into Khazad-dûm with all those mirrors and how they it's so cool. Anyway, so we see Durin and Disa, and they're trying to, adjust to, their new life as being demoted of his title as prince. And I'm reading a recap that someone wrote, and they wrote, the two are shopping in the market, demonstrating nothing but couple goals, as Disa reminds him she's married to him because she loves him and not because the title of prince he once had. I'm like, yes, that's what I said to Ashley. I'm like, they love each other so much. But also, I love that he's shopping with her, if that makes sense. He's, what's the word? Like, he doesn't think it's like a woman's thing to do. He's like, let's go shopping together. Like,
Yes.
he's like, we're a couple.
Yeah.
We're gonna go shopping, like, to support our household, and he understands, like, you know, we need to tighten our purse strings.
I love that he finds like the biggest mushroom possible, though. He's like, how about this one?
Yeah.
But what's weird that she says 2 deer. Like, I was like, I thought she meant like 2 as a quantity 2 deer. Like, but he's holding 1. So he's like, oh, it's too much money. 2 deer.
Yeah, it's too valuable.
It's just a weird way of saying it.
It's too valuable.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah.
And while they're in the market, Disa, who has some sort of uncanny power ability
connection. I'd say she's very in touch with
the mountain, saying that she like detects some weird shift in the stone, and then suddenly like rocks start falling from the ceiling, which then takes out like the bridge with people on it. You see people get smooshed. Terrifying.
Terrifying.
Also, why don't those bridges have guardrails?
Guardrails?
Really no OSHA regulations.
I would not be able to be a dwarf for that reason alone, because I have like insane. It's not vertigo, but it's vertigo where I feel like the minute I even am close to the edge, I will fall off.
Yeah.
Like I could be like feet away, I will fall off.
Yeah. It's the same reason I can't work on any ships from the Empire in Star Wars. There are no guardrails on any of those ships.
Yep.
People have been falling off those things.
Can we pause for a second to talk about Disa's sideburns? Does she have sideburns now? Yeah. But I noticed like in other scenes it was gone, and I was just like, what the heck? Or is it like a thing that we're like kind of slowly trying to introduce? Like, did I see it?
Yeah.
There? Nope.
It's a trick of the light.
Because I think I even saw it on her lady friends also had them, and it's very subtle. It's just along the jawline. But then in other scenes it was gone.
It's like what Eregion
is it a makeup thing?
They're just not blending their contour. That's what it is.
I was wondering that though, like, okay, so hold on. What if it actually was like a makeup choice for dwarven ladies to have just a bit, just to show like, I want to be masculine today, or like I want to I
think it's not that. I think it's that beards are a symbol of a very like important,
not masculine, that's not, but
in their culture of like being strong and healthy and having a good life and things like that. I think maybe, I don't know. I mean, Aragorn said
maybe
beard.
I mean, we're making a lot of conjecture here, but I'm trying to make the beard thing work because I really was against the beard thing. Okay, I don't like it.
Hey, we could have full lady beards.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm grateful that they like didn't go full on. That's all I'm saying, I guess. So, anyways, the earthquake comes. You see people being smooshed, and then because the mirror system is so delicate, you mess with one, you mess with all of them, because it's a mirror to a mirror to a mirror to a mirror. You mess with one,
it doesn't work no more.
Yeah. So
now they're plunged into darkness, which terrifying. Oh my gosh. Terrifying. I could not. If I was stuck in a cave in a giant mountain and then all the lights went out.
Yep. You're done.
And you can see that it's like really bad. Like they notice like, this is not good.
Yeah.
And then we jump over to Galadriel really randomly, just like boop, we go over to Galadriel, and she looks to me in this scene, she looks like a little kid. Like she looks very young and very like innocent and doesn't have any sorrows or things like that. She's like talking to her brothers. Is he
R.I.P. Finrod
tree? I don't know. Like,
I think they're just markers, because did they ever find his body? Did they?
I don't know. There was
I don't remember.
Pile. There was a big pile.
R.I.P. Finrod. R.I.P. Finrod.
So
He's my favorite. Captain Valerian. R.I.P.
So she's talking to his headstone
Marker. Headstone. I like it. I love that tradition. If we could make that a real thing.
That's so cool.
Can you have me carve it into a tree, Abby?
Beautiful. And suddenly Celebrimbor's there, and you're like, wait, what? Because he's not even anywhere close to Linden. And you're like, what's going on?
Right.
And then you realize, this is a dream or a vision or something.
A dream of sorts.
Then suddenly, like, the forest starts, like, attacking them with, like, vines and stuff, and it wraps around Celebrimbor, but he's, like, still talking to her while, like, being lifted up by vines, and they're like, oh, no. And then he gets moited by the tree.
Moited.
Like, he's becoming a headstone in the tree, and it's actually really cool looking, but you're like, oh no. And
it looks really cool. Yeah.
I think that the branches that busted out of him looked like Sauron's helmet.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I just was thinking, like, for the book people that know that he is going to have a horrific ending, that was like the easiest way that they could have him impaled on something without impaling him the way that happens in the book.
Maybe he will in the future. Maybe it's just showing what's going to happen.
It's a foreshadowing. But what was weird is that it goes into this random, like, black speech about the 9 rings given to men. I'm like, that hasn't happened yet. But, I mean, it's all foreshadowing. But it's interesting that was, is this a vision granted to her by the Valar, like, warning, or is this a vision to mess with her head from Sauron, is the question. So is 9 rings given to men such a cemented idea in his head that he already has the black speech and already has he came up with that poetry on the fly, if anything. Like,
he wrote it in his diary. He has a vision board.
He does. Like, what is the magic number? Okay, 7's a good magic number. Okay, they made 3 rings, so then 3, 7.
His orcs in the background.
Yes, I love that.
So then we see that go down, and then she kind of like jumps out of being in a vision or something, and they're in a strategy meeting with Gilgalad. What do they call him? High Lord Gil? No. What do they call him?
He's the king.
But
he's the
king of they're trying to like figure out how to stop Sauron, like a war meeting kind of thing, right? And so he's saying that the other elves have seen that he's gone to Mordor. And so they're like, well, we should attack Mordor. And Galadriel's like, what? Actually, I don't think he's going to still stay in Mordor. I think he might go other places. And that she's worried that he's going to Eregion. And
she's not wrong.
I'm like, she probably got something right for once. But that the reason why he needs to go to Eregion is because he wants more rings, and he needs Celebrimbor, and he needs the forge, and he needs all those things to make that happen. And Gilgalad is kind of like he's kind of on the fence about trusting her, but
he's wary.
I feel like he and her are kind of becoming more on the level of friendship, like trusting, I guess. Like, he's seeing her as
before it was like before they were very much on opposing sides, and now they're working together, and he's actually seeing like, oh yeah, Sauron messed you up. Like, he's not coming at it from a place of blame, but like, which is sad.
And you gotta say, but definitely, they keep talking about that to her, like she is affected by Sauron. They keep saying that, like, he's seen your mind, he's seen your heart, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of feel bad for Galadriel because I want her to say like, I didn't know. I didn't know who he was. Like, give me a break. This is a you know, one of the Valar,
it could have been you. He could have deceived you too.
One of the Valar
Maiar.
But like that's like his power is to like be like cunning and sneak into people's brains and become friends with them and stuff like that. So like a godly power against her. Like, give her a break, you guys. Like, she didn't mean to do it. You can clearly tell her whole thing is about how much she hates Sauron and how much she wants to, like, kill him. Do you think she's like, but he was... that hair, so cute. I just, let it go for a little bit. She didn't know. So that's the one thing about this episode where I'm like, give her a freaking break. She didn't, like, quit bringing it up how, like, weak she was and how she, didn't fight him off and you should have known and blah 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 and you let him do it. And she's like, to me, I'm like, you could have said like, first of all, yes, I know that he did that, but second of all, I wouldn't have let him do it if I knew who he was. It's not like I knew who he was and was like, all right, like that's fine, you can do all these things. But
here's the keys to my brain, sir.
I know. I was like, guys, think it through. Do you think she would really be like, of course, like, here's my mind and all my memories and, I'm going to make bad choices. I don't know. There's not enough apologizing in this episode when there should be. And so she talks to
Gil-galad. She says, I want to go find him in Eregion.
Yes, and she also tells him that she's starting to have visions ever since she got her ring, and
he has too, which is interesting.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's just me, I don't know, because I don't have a lot of information about it, but if each ring has a different thing they can do for each person. You know what I mean? Like,
it is very vague. It is not, this person has the magic of blah, blah, blah. But, like it is said that Elrond's ring, which technically Gil-galad has right now, had the gift of healing.
Interesting.
And I forgot what the fire ring was.
Fire. Just fire.
Just fire. And then Galadriel's might have been foresight. Like visions and stuff. Then we go back to Eregion and we find out that Celebrimbor didn't actually let Halbrand Sauron in after all. Like,
he made a good choice.
Yay. Good job, Celebrimbor. But Halbrand and his so cunning. Like every little thing, like the lady comes out and she's like, oh, sorry, he can't see you and you're actually not supposed to be here. So good day, sir. And he's like, oh, that's too bad. I'll just stay here. Oh, is this a wound I have on my back? Oh, poor me.
I know. I'm going to play on her heartstrings of like, oh, he's hurt. He needs help.
Yeah.
So Celebrimbor
also,
the good thing.
Why are they wearing the same dress? I thought that was weird that Galadriel still wearing her Eregion dress. Why? You think? I mean,
who knows?
They're elvish clothes. They must be so much fun to make. Give her all of the outfits, like by the hourly, like wardrobe changes. I'm just saying. But anyways,
so
I know they're in a budget.
Celebrimbor did the right thing, and he said no to Halbrand. And I think that Celebrimbor seems conflicted. He's like, Galadriel told me no, and I feel like what she says is the right thing, but he also did help me a lot. And he knew things to help the forge work. And, I don't know, keep him out. Like,
It's almost like he was like my muse. He helped my creativity.
Yeah, but it's also so funny because like you can tell he's like, I want to. No, I can't.
Yeah.
Like, so we see like Halbrand kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. He I was telling wait, hold on. Back up. He said, Celebrimbor said, I promised Galadriel not to treat with Halbrand anymore. And I'll just wait for news from Lyndon about it. And then you see the poor elven messengers that had the message from Gil-galad of that saying that Halbrand is Sauron. Please, like, take this message straight to Celebrimbor so he doesn't talk to him again. They are murdered. They are slaughtered.
Even the horse.
I know. The horse, disgusting. It's like they skinned it. It looked disgusting.
Yeah.
And
but the creepy chains just pulling it away. So creepy.
Yeah.
I don't know why it was so creepy
you
to
see
do
the
that.
poor messengers died, and you see the message literally laying on the ground. And so you were like, oh, well, Celebrimbor is not going to be notified that this is Sauron. And then we jump to Poppy,
Rune,
and
the
Stranger, and Nori walking through the we jump to their story. So you see a one of those, like, what are they called? I called them
creepy mask guys.
I called them the sand people of Tolkien's Tolkien's world, which they are. You see them come to this like cool, very like Middle Eastern like temple in this like desert sandy area that's very I don't know, it just seems very evil already when you look at it.
Yes.
And it had
something about it, just the vibe
is weird. But they have banners on these like masked people, and their banners look like the Eye of Sauron, which I'm like, I'm so confused because that wasn't a thing
He's
yet.
not an eyeball yet.
So they go into...
He's like, the eye is my best feature, so I just know it's going to be important later.
Yeah. They go into this huge temple thingy, and it's all... You look at, and there's a wizard there. And you know it's a wizard. And you're like, whoa. And it looks like Saruman, but...
Yes.
You don't know. You don't know.
Is it?
Which is kind of funny because, like, I feel like Saruman... Has he always had that? Like, if it was, it's like, has he always been evil? Who knows?
Yeah.
But
all the priestesses are bringing in jars of moths.
Yeah, that they're dumping out. And, which I thought interesting, there was no men in the temple. It was only the wizard man. That was it. And everyone else were women, like witches, and it was kind of crazy. They all looked like the witch lady, what do they call them? The
Nazgals?
No, the acolyte? No.
Acolytes.
Yes. They had that like crazy eyes and all that stuff. And he cuts this one girl's hands, and the blood sacrifice, he says, brings back the crazy witch lady from the first season, that the
dweller.
The dweller. And she talks about...
But I'm like, hold on. I also have this vision of trying to wrangle all of these moths to reassemble her. He's
like, you must go reassemble her, and he hands out all these butterfly nets, like, here you go, like,
yes. I hear they like shiny lights. Use that too.
You just see them like with big nets everywhere, like trying to get all those moths. And he asks her what she knows about Sauron, and she said that he has taken a new form, which and then
but also she talks. She didn't talk last time.
And then she talks about the Istar, which is referring to the stranger.
Yes.
And that the Dark Wizard says that he needs to be caught before he can harness his power. And that's when the masked guy comes in, and he's like, I can find him. And they're like, he's an Istar. He's too strong for you. It's like, not if I murder his friends first. And I like that they already called the Dark Wizard called them halflings.
Yes.
And then speaking of the halflings, Nori and Poppy and the stranger are wandering through Rune, while they're trying to give him different names, which I think is really cute. How
about Fred?
It's like, you can't give me a random name. I have a name. I just need to find my name. And then Poppy's like, let's go through this desert. It'll cut our trip in half. And they're like, you would also die.
I choose life.
Well,
like Sid, I choose
exposure and lack of water and things like that. And they're like, well, why can't you make us water? Like they ask the stranger, why can't you just make water? You made other things grow. Why can't you just make water? And he's like, well, I can't harness it. I can't. What does he say? I don't feel comfortable doing that because I don't have an anchor. Or Poppy says he doesn't have a gand. And me and Ashley were like, what's a gand?
Gand?
And so we looked it up. And what is a gand, Ashley?
It's an old Norse word for basically, like a wizard's staff. But I'm like, I feel like there could have been more explanation of that instead of just gand. I mean,
so he's been having visions.
But then it literally in the Wikipedia thing was kind of like Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. So I could have spelled that out really nicely there.
So they are, what's it called? Ambushed? I don't really want to say ambushed because Poppy and Nori and everybody hear them coming before the bad guys know that they're there. So they hide, and Harfoots are good at, they hide really well. And they realize that they're being, followed on this path. So they have to go on the scary desert path. So we go back to Khazad-dûm, and it jumps again. Like I said, it jumps around a lot in this episode. And
the gardens aren't doing great. They need that photosynthesis to work, which...
Yeah, the gardens are dying. And so they're kind of they're eating a bad dinner. Remember, he's like, this tastes like last year's bread. He's like, it is last year's bread. Which I'm
is last year's bread. Yeah.
And Disa.
But she's got...
And her...
I freaking love Disa in this scene. She's so... the writer, the actress, both combined, chef's kiss. Because, she just is so witty, but so strong. And but, at the same time, somehow respectful. Chef's kiss. Mm-hmm. So well done.
So, Disa and her fellow stone singers are trying to speak to the mountain to try to find out what's going on and help with the light. And one of them says is this an ill omen that's going to affect the other dwarven kingdoms as well? This is a bad sign for all dwarves. And she's like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be great. And then they start singing, and it crumbles even more.
It doesn't go great.
Yeah, it's not great. And so King Durin is there, and he's like, the bond has been broken between the dwarves and Khazad-dûm, our home. And, this isn't a good sign. In the thousands of years that we've been, doing this, for some reason the bond has been broken between the mountain and the dwarves. And
which kind of makes sense that we never heard about this like stone singing before, which is sad, but kind of like they're making a link, which I like. I like the links. And then, but don't forget that we meet Narvi. We meet Narvi for the first time.
And who did you figure out who Narvi was?
Yes, I'm like, I know that name's important, and I know he is like crafty, but I can't remember. So Narvi is gonna be friends. Spoilers to us, I guess, but also it's in the book. Forms a friendship with Celebrimbor, and together they are gonna make the Doors of Durin, the shiny. Shiny, the shiny.
Oh, okay.
Melon. Speak friend
the
in
shiny door.
The shiny door,
Cool. That sounds awesome. Hopefully they'll do that in the show. They'll show him again.
I know. Well, I was wondering because we didn't bring up the intro, the new intro too, but they do show it doesn't look like exactly, but it's just enough of a hint that it does look like the Doors of Durin.
Oh yes,
when they're doing the sand art things
with the sand and all that stuff.
Yes,
it was very.
There's some new things
symbology in this episode's opening, which I think is so cool.
Yes. But what was like almost bone chilling is that they have the door of Durin with the cool
filigree
markings and runes and stuff and the filigree, and then like immediately after that it changes into what looks like a Balrog's horns, and you're just like, oh no.
So Disa and I love the scene because this is one of my favorite things about Tolkien is we have such healthy relationships in these stories. There's not a lot of, I think I can count like 2 unhealthy relationships in this whole Tolkien universe is the Faramir and his dad and and what's his name? King Theoden and Wormtongue. Those are like the only weird bad relationships that I've seen. And in the movie, somewhat King Thranduil and Legolas. Okay, but I love that they
Thranduil.
So I love King Durin talks to Disa like she is his friend. He doesn't say like you can't talk to me that way, like you are a woman or you are below me, or like they talk like they're friends and that they are related, and she is his daughter-in-law and she's like an important part of his life, and he asks about his grandkids, like all this stuff. I'm like, thank you for showing a healthy relationship of a daughter and father-in-law, and also between a king and like his people, and that she respects him and he respects her. It was so great. I'm like, thank you. I want to see that. Like, she felt okay talking to him like a normal person, which I was very happy about.
But also, really I think Disa is just a bad A, I don't need no man, woman in general. And she'd be like, I'm not afraid to talk to the king. I'll tell him whatever I want. Like, So, but she also does it from a place of respect, though, is the thing.
Yeah. So
she still bows to him. She's still, she's not being rude.
But they respect each other.
But she's not afraid. Yeah.
And then she tells him, you are both too stubborn to apologize to each other. And then you see, sorry about that.
I know, and it's very sad, Oakley, that they can't apologize to each other.
We see, and then it kind of just ends their story a little bit right there, that like they're afraid of the mountain not being connected to them
They're
anymore.
disconnects.
And the Durin is like suffering in the mines because he's like, this like, which is funny to me. I feel like dwarves don't suffer in the mines. I feel like that's rare. But
Well, and I'm sorry, I didn't understand this part. So okay, granted, he's a prince, but they have made it clear, and even Elrond has worked alongside Durin. Like, it's not like this is the first time he's ever had to work, but somehow he is just now getting blisters. I'm sorry, I didn't. It's a bit of a stretch. They could have done more. Yeah. I feel like they were kind of grasping at something to make fun of for Durin. But it basically just opens the gate of the other dwarves to make fun of him. And basically, like, you're on our level now. Like, what's it like having to be with the people and do our hard work and get blisters, and it's your fault that we're in this mess. Like, they really do. There's this talk of it's because Durin let Elrond into Khazad-dûm that this is all happening.
You would think that they like their prince and king a lot more than to be rude to them like that, but who knows? I thought they had a little bit more love for their leaders. Anyway, so then we jump to...
Well, he's not a prince right now.
True. Then we jump to, finally, we get to see Elrond. And he's working in Círdan's ship-making studio workshop. And Galadriel's like, I want you to come to Eregion with me to check on Celebrimbor. I feel like something bad's going down over there. And he's like, I don't.
Got a vibe. I've just got a vibe.
He's like, I don't want to do that.
I don't want any part of this.
And then he's again on her case about, like, you wanted this to happen. Like, you like him and you blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Elrond, she did no. As soon as she found out, she freaked out and kicked him out. Like, she didn't know. And she tries to tell Elrond that Sauron worked his way into her soul unwillingly. And he's like, well, it was far from unwilling. And she's like, and I was like, oh. And I was like, no. And that she welcomed
I'm kind of on Team Elrond right now, though. Like, I see more his point of view than Galadriel, because I really do feel like the minute she found out it was Sauron, she didn't say it. She was more embarrassed about her own implication in it than trying to save it.
It's like you painted himself. He painted himself to be everything Galadriel wanted, and she welcomed it.
Oh, I loved that. Sauron looked inside you, plucked the very song of your soul, note by note, making himself out to be exactly what you needed. I was like,
So she's hurt, which I'm like, communication here, people.
Yeah.
So she leaves.
Also, I wonder if it had been anyone else, what would have been their song? Like, what would have been Elrond's?
Well, Celebrimbor's is, oh, you like my stuff? You think I'm a good...
Yeah, which is so sad.
Yeah, you think I'm a good...
always being in the shadow of his grandfather, Fëanor.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't say thank you. They didn't let you know that the rings worked. Oh, you poor thing.
I know. So he is upset. Elrond is upset, so he goes to talk to Círdan, who shaves, evidently.
Who shaves? He's like, okay, I
Maybe
get that there is like maybe, but okay, hear me out. Like, I get that sometimes things change in between season 1 and season 2. Like, I get that. Like, I've been watching shows where all of a sudden the full-on actor changes midway through a season, and I don't like it, but I can take it because the rest of it seems to be, seamless. But there are lots of little disconnects that aren't quite like makeup changes or look changes, or that sounds unfair, but like, I swear, Nori, like, I like continuity, and I feel like Nori's face or something changed, like she lost weight or something in between, which is fine. She got older. I feel like Galadriel's makeup looks a little different. The Dweller's makeup was very different. She was a lot more pale in the other things. Elrond's hair is different. Like, they're making it seem like months have passed by, but it was like the same week.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I feel like they could have done a little bit better on that for the showrunners. I mean, I'm being nitpicky. I am, but to voice what I'm sure other people have had issues with too. I would have appreciated more, like, if they had just filmed it right after. Like, was there a big break or something? Did they have a change in makeup artists or something? Like, there's certain things that you have to keep consistent to still not jar the viewer. And I feel like a lot of the things I was jarred with. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox now.
So Elrond is speaking to a beardless Círdan now,
who shaves with a shell? Come on! And where did he get the shaving cream? He got shaving cream? They have shaving cream with the aerosol?
You've seen those elves. They have conditioners. They have fancy creams and lotions.
Fancy creams and lotions.
So I love Círdan's kind of talk to Elrond about that, because Elrond is so worried about these rings. He's like, they were made by Sauron, or Sauron helped, and they're gonna turn everything bad, and I'm so worried about it. And he's like, having the elves keep the rings for themselves is the safest option we can do, because if he doesn't have them, then he can't have that power, and we can use our power for good with these rings, you know?
But I'm on Team Elrond with this, though. Like, so, but what if Sauron got them? Then that would be so bad. So why not just take the weapon out of play in general? Like, any tool in a bad person's hand is a weapon. So why not just remove all the weapons?
I guess it's like they need something that could have a leg up on the battle, you know?
Yeah. But it's kind of like the Indiana Jones thing. Like, I must get to the bad thing before the bad guys do. And then you almost make it easy for them that way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. But
I feel like Indiana Jones has that in every single movie.
That whole monologue that Círdan does about, you know, like, we need to be the good in the world. Like, we can make a difference of using these rings, and it's a very beautiful how he talks about it. It's very pretty. I really liked it.
Yes. And the display of the ring with the fishes, very weird.
You can control
We've never really
light.
seen the rings, or they're attracted to it or something. We never really get to see the ring's powers displayed. Like, they don't shoot off lightning bolts or anything like that.
They tried.
Especially in the other movies.
Have they tried?
Well, maybe not, but I feel like that's not a very elf thing to do. It's interesting to see how magical the rings are. I guess it was interesting to see it displayed.
Yeah. So, and then we jump again to Nori and Poppy and the stranger, and they're in the desert, and then, oh no, what's that? They are starting to have effects of heat exhaustion and lack of water. Who would have guessed?
Who would have guessed?
Find a well, and they start drinking out of it, but the well is weirdly designed that if you let it go, it rings a bell. So it's like, oh, we're here now. Maybe that's just set up to catch people. If you don't know that, if you're not part of the club that knows not to do that, you know?
Right.
But
there's a random stick holding it, Abby. A random stick that just happens to be in the shape of a staff.
And so he takes the staff, and he's and then the masked sand people start coming to capture them on horses, and he's like, I've got this, I've got a staff now, and he starts conjuring a tornado, which is a huge tornado, by the way, and it of course makes the bad guys fly away. But he realizes that also Poppy and Nori cannot survive this tornado. And so they're like barely holding on. And he's like, they're like, try to stop it. And he's like, I don't think he can stop it. And then his staff disintegrates. And then you see the sandstorm carry Nori and Poppy off like cows in Twister. Like the cows in the movie
Very
Twister.
much. Yeah.
And then it ends on that, like, that part of the story of the episode ends. So we don't even know if they're going to be okay. So we'll see if episode 3, what happens to them.
One of them has to at least have a broken collarbone, or I call it BS. Because, I mean...
Or a broken leg, or a broken shoulder, or something.
Yeah. But I like how he tried using the staff as an actual magical staff. Like, okay, so they actually it has to be a magical stick. You can't just pick up a stick off the ground.
Yeah, it's gotta be magic.
I guess.
It's gotta
have magic.
Be magical. And then it jumps again back to Celebrimbor, and we get to see him working on something in his forge. That's so cool. I'm so stoked that they kept it, like they showed this in the story in this show, and he's working on his forge, and his helper lady was like, it didn't work, it's not, there's nothing on here. He's like, oh really? And then they go outside.
Yeah, and he looks so pleased with himself.
And then he's like, oh, the moonlight makes the carvings visible when they were once invisible, and it's called Ithildin.
And
it's made, and we learn that it's made from a sliver of mithril, which, who knows if that's canon? Right. Let's say it is.
Let's say it is.
And it's so beautiful. Oh my god. Also, why can't more things have that cool effect on them? Like, I want to see more Ithildin.
Because mithril is a limited substance, Abby.
A sliver. It's just a sliver.
But I think it's funny, like, you have this limited resource. You know what I'm going to do with it? I'm going to make invisible ink. That's what I'm going to do with it.
And then it starts raining, and then the girl who was with him...
Oh, no, it doesn't start raining yet. It's cold.
Oh, it's cold.
And it's like, oh, is Halbrand out there? It's probably cold. Shall I bring him a shawl?
Okay, so
like he's an old lady or something.
She's like, should I bring him a shawl? And then it, like, jumps to Halbrand, and he's standing there, and he, like, puts his head down, and legitimately, he looks dead. Like, he looks like a dead person. Like, his...
Yeah.
Skin goes all gray. His eyes get really like glazed over, and he kind of has these like weird like cuts and bruises on his face, like randomly. Like it kind of just shows up. It's very like
well, he has to look super pitiful.
No, it's like he's not even looking at anybody. He's kind of like thinking to himself. Like he's like looking down, and like he looks like he's really
well. Because did you see in the background when that happens? That's what. So he's concentrating. You didn't see that in the background. The clouds are changing. He's literally making it rain.
Oh,
magically.
Can he do that?
So
is he allowed to do that?
Apparently, he shouldn't be allowed to do that. But apparently, he's like, I need some mood lighting, please. Not quite enough. Okay, let's have some rain. Let's really make it. Let's really sell it here, people. And then all I could think of was
I guess
like the day you left me in the rain. Yeah. Well, he's got to look pitiful while it's raining, Abby. He's trying to sell it.
That doesn't look pitiful. That looks terrifying. If someone looked like that in the rain, I'd be like, he's too far gone. Sorry. Can't do much to help him with that one. So... Celebrimbor
it starts raining, and we see the most epic looking umbrella.
Yes.
It's like a cross between an umbrella and a cabana leaf somehow. I don't know how. And he's still soaking wet. Like, what is the point of the umbrella, sir?
So Celebrimbor goes to visit Halbrand, and he's like, you have to leave. And then he's like, well, actually, I spoke with Galadriel, and... blah, blah, blah. And so, like, Celebrimbor's like, huh? And then...
he says, have you spoken to her? Or is that what she said? And it's very vague.
Oh,
And I'm like, did he mean the messenger that Celebrimbor sent? And
yeah.
like, there's this like, wait, what did you mean? Because I meant this. What did you mean?
What are you talking about?
And they automatically jump to Galadriel, and Halbrand just uses it because he's so cunning. He's like, oh yeah, Galadriel. Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah. And then so he like, oh, we haven't heard word from Gil-galad or Lyndon or anything, and I don't know if the rings worked or not. And Halbrand's like, you don't know? You don't know? He's like, what? He's like, oh, they worked.
Nothing. You don't know anything.
Yeah, they worked. And he's like, what? And Celebrimbor is so excited. And so like he brought him inside. He brought him in his house or in the forge area, and he's like, Halbrand's like, you did it. It's all because of you. You were amazing. These rings worked. You saved the elves.
The look on his poor face.
I know.
The look on his face.
I know. He's like, did I save them? He's like, you did. And then Halbrand's like, are you crying? And I was like, don't make fun of him if he's crying. It's okay to cry. And he then he's like, the weirdest line, are you my friend?
Yeah, that one was.
So Halbrand's like, if you're my friend, which Celebrimbor says, yes, I am your friend. And he's like, well, Celebrimbor, I haven't entirely been honest to you. I'm not Halbrand. I'm not a man. I'm not even a man. I'm not even mortal. And he's like, huh? Well, who are you then?
And then all of a sudden,
he's like,
sneak attack, and he like
smoke bomb.
Shutters close, disappear,
and so
smoke bomb.
All the lights go out, and then suddenly the forge. No, but he also confesses that he's afraid to reveal the truth. Like, I don't know if I want to tell you the truth. I'm scared to tell you that you won't like me anymore.
You won't accept me for who I am.
You won't like me anymore. And then he's like,
yeah.
The reason why I came to you is I want to make rings for men as well. And then Celebrimbor's like, ew, gross, men? Yuck. I don't want to do that.
Ew. Yeah, no. Men are like lame and like...
Because men are too corruptible. And even if I wanted to, we'd need mithril, and the dwarves probably won't let me have any more. So, and then Halbrand's like, well, the dwarves are currently in trouble anyway. And then he's like, wait, what are you talking about? Huh? And then,
yeah, it's almost like he planned that.
Yeah.
Line.
It's like he has a guy on the inside. Ha 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 ha, get it? A ball rock.
I like.
And he said, my name's not actually Halbrand, and I'm not a man, I'm not immortal. And then he everything goes dark, and then suddenly the forge
comes out of the fire, all beautiful.
And then he comes out from the fire, and he's like, and he's talking. He's like, and you can be, your works are going to be renowned and all that stuff. And then it sounds like he's about to reveal that he's actually Sauron, but instead. That he is a messenger sent from beyond their current realm to help offer guidance, to help weather the storm of the evil that is staring down Middle Earth. And then Celebrimbor's like
you've heard of beings like me, right?
And Celebrimbor's like sure, yeah, like a Valar, he's like,
they don't say the word Maiar, which I'm wondering if they can't use.
Yeah. So and then the best is when there's like a giant vision, and it's all these clouds, and he's standing there like an angel, Sauron's standing there like an angel,
Jesus.
huh?
He looks like
yes, I know. It was very religious painting looking, and he's like, "You shall be the Lord of the Rings." And I text Ashley, I'm like, "He said the thing. He said it."
All I could think of right after that was there is only one Lord of the Ring, and he does not share power. Yeah. That was all I could think of.
So that was amazing. I was like, what? But also, if you were Celebrimbor, I'd be like, my eyes would be popping out of my head. He like was blown away. He's like, whoa. And he's very much playing into his like, you can be as amazing as your ancestors and stuff like that. He's like, oh
yes.
And then he's like, and he's like, who are you? With your beautiful blonde hair and all this stuff. He's like,
all of a sudden your scars are all gone. You're freshly shaven. You smell like
flowers.
Heaven.
Is that vanilla? It's amazing. It smells great.
Yeah.
And he goes,
It's like a share of gift.
He's like, I'm a share of gift. I am. And you're like, Sauron. And he's like,
Sauron. You're Sauron, right?
Anatar. And he's like, Anatar, the Lord of Gifts. And it's like beautiful. And you're like, I can see why he was so entranced and why he was so like, what's the word? Not corrupted, but easily swayed. That's it.
Manipulated.
And plus his new straightened flat iron hair. Beautiful.
I mean, that's beautiful.
And he has pointy ears now.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Good catch.
And then, after all that beautifulness, we jump back to Galadriel and Gil-galad, and he's like, I have allowed you to go to Eregion to help Celebrimbor, and I'm sending our bravest elves. And she's like, okay, cool. I'm ready to lead. He's like, oh, hold up, girl. Hold up. You're not the leader. And then Elrond comes in and he's like, I am. I'm the leader.
And he even like takes the desk.
Yeah.
And he's like looking at the map and he's like, are you ready to take my command?
And then he's like, I think it would have been really funny, just in my brain, because I love Elrond so much and I want him to be a good leader and I know he's smart. That'd be really funny. He's like, and we're going to head to the west. And they all look at him and he's like, flips the map over. And he's like, I mean the east. Like, he's like, because he says he's not a politician, he's a scholar and stuff like that. So he's not a soldier commander person at all. But he's like, you know what? I'm going to do this.
Yeah. I'm
going to be the good in this world. Which I'm like, yes, you are, Elrond. Yes, you are. And then at the very, very end, we see a letter come to Durin and Disa, and it's written in Elvish, which I'm like, Durin can read Elvish? But it says, she's like, is it from Elrond? And Durin said, no, it's actually from Celebrimbor, and he wants us to come to Eregion for a visit. And you're like, no! Don't do it!
I'm like, man, they work so fast. Or did Anatar or Sauron, like, the minute he got there, he's like, and I'm going to need those sent off right now so that by the time I'm going to get Celebrimbor, about a day and a half to, call over things. And then by the time they get the invitations, I'll have talked him into it already. Like, I mean, do you think he really, oh man, the cunning, the planning.
I know.
The cunning, the planning. You can really see how he was really held back as an eyeball. I mean, if he had his body,
I know.
They wouldn't have won. They wouldn't have won.
All in all, I think this episode was really, I liked it. It jumped around a lot, and you're kind of like, who's that? What's going on? There were some Easter egg things of like
Narvi
and what is it called? Isildur and Anatar and things like that. So I'm like, yeah. But there's a lot of questions now where I'm like, wait, who's that? What's that? What's going on?
A lot of questions.
So, oh, and there was another thing, I won't get into it much, but the people who, like the sand people who are wearing the masks say they're cursed.
Oh, yeah, the curse. They're cursed?
Their skin is cursed, which I'm like, are they like the orcs that can't go out into the sun? Who knows?
Oh.
That's why they have to cover all their stuff, all their skin.
Maybe.
Anyway.
Or I've been reading, sorry, this is not related, but like the first thing I thought of when they said they were cursed, I've been reading A Court of Thorn and Roses. Don't judge me. But part of the curse in that book is that masks are literally stuck on their face.
Oh.
So they can't take the masks off if they wanted to. I know.
Well,
So maybe that's the
we'll
curse.
hopefully get more answers.
You get this heavy metal mask on your face. But yeah, I'm excited for episode 3.
I wanted the wolf.
I know. There were some really random ones. Like one looked like a plague mask. One did look like a legit Tusken Raider. There was another one too,
One looks like
yeah.
skull, one looks like a bird.
I think that was a plague mask looking one. Yeah, weird. Weird.
Anyway, well, we hopefully will get on to season 2, episode 3 soon, because I've got a lot of questions.
Yes.
And I also want to see Elrond in a commanding role of being a commander of a small army.
Yes.
Imagine him in armor. Come on now. It was like the
I almost
thread.
I almost texted you last night because sorry. My brother, I don't know why he did this, but he happened to see Twilight in the theater with like I don't remember what the circumstance was, but he was in there with like a bunch of really older women. And the scene where Jacob takes his shirt off, one of them like just like sighed heavily behind him. He's like, I really need a cigarette.
Jeez.
So when you were talking about Elrond being all like powerful and like being the leader of the company, and I almost texted you, do you need a cigarette, Abby?
I gotta go outside.
For the record, Abby and I do not smoke, but like I could not think of another equivalent of I really need a cigarette.
I gotta go have a donut. I gotta have chocolate about this. There's like a meme, like kind of video thing. They're like, give me a man, dirty him up, let his life turn to ruins, and that is my man. That is the man for me. And they show like they show like Indiana Jones like all dirty, or they show like Aragorn all dirty, they show
The Witcher.
Yeah, and then I was like, Elrond's gonna be added to the list. Or the guy from You want chocolate?
Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned chocolate.
I'll get it for you in a second. Okay?
He needs chocolate now. He saw Elrond too. He's like, oh, I need chocolate after this.
But another one was Captain Norrington from Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, he's just like, his life is ruined.
Oh.
People are like, ooh, I like that person. Another one that I added to the list that I saw recently is Dr. Alan Grant from Jurassic Park. When he's like saving the kids and he gets all gross and dirty, I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anyway.
Yeah. Will Turner.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Anyway. The ruggedness. Rugged.
Anyway, we're gonna... The ruggedness.
Well, thanks for with me today.
Thank you for watching the show with me and geeking out. Yeah. Until next week, I've been Ashley.
And I've been Abby. And this has been the Sisters of the Shire podcast. And we're so happy you are here. And we hope you can join us next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for teaching me a day.
Yay!